Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brenda Yvonne channel. Of course, I'm your girl, Brenda Yvonne. Here on my channel, we do fun reviews, recaps, and discussions of all of our favorite shows. We are talking P-Valley tonight. This is season 2, episode 7, I believe. The title is called Jackson. Please don't forget to like this video. Please let me know in the comments what you're thinking of this season of P-Valley so far, what you thought of tonight's episode. Don't forget to share and also subscribe, y'all. Don't hurt to subscribe. So anyway, let's get into the video. I will say this is another good episode of P-Valley. Like, it was deep, okay? I like how we looked at the past, present, we're worried about the future, making big life decisions that can affect the future. This episode really was talking about life and death in a major way, right? And touching on issues that we're dealing with right now. So it's very good. Very, very good. So let's get into it. I'm going to try to go in order, but I may go out of order because sometimes with P-Valley, it's just better just to focus on certain storylines instead. But we're going to get it all done and talk about it because you know how we like to do over here. So, all right, the episode starts out with grandmother singing at the Pank. So they're like, it's like a flashback dream sequence kind of where they're showing her, Miss Loretta Devine, showing her singing at the club. You know, it was like a regular club. It wasn't like a strip club back then. And they're taking us through the decades. So they start out in the 60s. You could tell which decade we're in by the way everyone's dressed and the way they're dancing. She's singing a song up there. I forgot the name of that song. She can sing. Y'all know Loretta Devine goes back doing Dream Girl. So we know she can perform. So anyway, she's up there singing and they're showing everyone dancing in the Pank. I did notice money transactions between men and women. I was like, oh, they were still hustling in the Pank. They were still selling something. Just because they wasn't stripping don't mean they wasn't selling something, right? So anyway, we see them dancing and everything, and she's singing on stage, and her wardrobe changes to the decade as well, and her hair. So they show the 60s, then they showed the 70s, then they showed like the 80s. And so then we see Uncle Clifford running around in the club, and he runs up to his mom, and his mom grabs him, and she called him Uncle Clifford even though he was little. I was like, so his name was always Uncle Clifford. So anyway, so Dave was like, oh, look, Uncle Clifford, there's your grandmother up there singing. That's what his mom said. So anyway, then the dream is like kind of coming to an end and no one else is in the club. And grandmother's just standing up there by herself. Miss Ernestine is her name, I believe. And so she got on the pink boa and her nightgown and her hair is a mess. This episode kind of reminded me of my grandmother just from the way like she talks and like her hair and the nightgown, everything reminded me of my granny. So anyway, so then she kind of was like, you know, back to her normal state, like, and you could tell she was going through something. She's kind of distraught. And then her daughter, who has already passed away, Uncle Clifford's mom, was walking up. She was, you know, you could tell she was coming like from heaven or something. She had on a nice white outfit. And she's like, Mama, it's time. And then she's like, no, Loretta, like, no, it's not time. Or what was her name? It wasn't Loretta. I can't think of what her name was now. Is it Beulah? She was like, no, it's not time to go yet. And her daughter had a cocktail in her hand, like a martini or something. I said, do they got a bar up in heaven? Oh, let me find out. But nah, just playing. So anyway, so, you know, Granny's not ready to go yet. But, you know, Granny's time is coming. I'm like, please don't take Granny out this episode, y'all. So anyway, then they did the theme song, down in the valley where the girls get naked. I'm not gonna do the theme song for y'all. Anyway, then we see Uncle Clifford at the Pank, and he had on that like money outfit. It was really cute, actually. I liked his whole little swag in that scene. And he was just kind of standing around looking in the club, you know, kind of reflecting. And then Haley came in with her mask on, and she was like, oh, there you are. I thought we were supposed to, you know, meet up outside. And Fred was saying that there's so many memories in that club. You know, we're here, his granddaddy got shot, and hey, granddaddy did this over here, and his whole family's legacy goes back into this club. So Uncle Clifford says she has so many memories, she don't even have to dream. She been running around this club since she was yay high, as they show. So, and I like seeing the flashback of, how the club started or where it came from. So, Haley says, that this club is doomed to go down anyway. Like, look, already happened to your grandmother. He's like, don't bring my grandmother in this. He got mad. She's like, 6 feet, and you already been in contact, correct? And so she was saying, I'm intending to get the club what it's worth. They've already offered me $5 million, but I want 10. So he was like, baby, you crazy. But he was like, okay, you right. Yeah. He's like, but girl, like, you down with that $5 million? And so then she was like, no, when she got the money, sorry, I don't know, I was stuttering. When she got the money to get the pink, she already had planned. So basically, she always planned to sell it. She was like, Promised Land is going to get this casino here. Whatever we do, it's going to happen. So we might as well. Clifford's like, he could build another club, but he can't never get the memories back of the place. And so Haley then talks about how she lost her daughter because of that money. And basically she doesn't want her daughter's death to go in vain. So that's why she's doing what she's doing and being a businesswoman and all that. And then Clifford makes a good point to her, says, well, your daughter, the baby's gone. So it's kind of like, well, what are you doing? And so then she's just kind of sitting there looking crazy. So anyway, then we see little Murda on the sofa kind of smoking and going in and out of his thoughts, thinking about Teak and everything that happened with him and flashing back to the night where, all the things that happened with little Murda and Teak. And so then he hears grandmother coughing, so he get up to do his nursing duties, right? He brings grandmother in some food. He made some smothered pork chops, some collard greens, I think he made some mac and cheese, and some cornbread. Sounded good to me, little mother. So anyway, I'm like, I want my plate too. So she was like, she didn't want none of that chicken and stuffing that Clifford made. And he was like, no, I got this for you. So she liked it. She was like, you keep cooking like this, you're going to keep an old girl around here happy. And then he was like, oh, don't be playing with me, Miss Steen. And so, when he first came in, she was like, Isaac Hayes, is that you? And she was like, no, he was like, no, this is, what did he say? I can't think of what Lil Murda's real name is. Y'all can drop it in the comments. And then she was like, who? And he was like, Lil Murda. She's like, oh, that sounds better. Like, he I guess he was trying to be respectful while giving his real name, but she, Miss Steen is cool. You can say Lil Murda. So anyway, then, like I said, she was like, you keep cooking like this, you can keep old girl around here happy. And so then he was like, oh, Miss Dean, don't be playing with me. And then she was like, I'm not talking about this. I'm not the old girl I'm talking about. So then he's like, well, you're going to have to put in a good word for me with Cliff. So anyway, she was like, I smelled something else. And she was like, I smelled death. And she was like, I smelled it on you when you came in last night. And so then Uncle Clifford came home, and he's like, grandmother, little homicide. I was cracking up. And so then they weren't really saying nothing. So then, he started freaking out because he's not hearing any noise. And he had to drop the bags down like, oh, my God, it's carbon peroxide. He said carbon peroxide. Something happening in the house. So anyway, then he runs in on grandmother and little Murda just kind of, little grandmother resting, little Murda sitting there watching grandmother, I'm sorry. And so he was like, y'all don't have me thinking the Chuckalisa gangster rapist then came in here and got y'all. So then he was like, no, he's good. And he was like, did you check her temperature? Did you take her blood sugar? The Murda's like, I did everything on your list. And so it was like nice to see that little Murda like took some of the burden off of Uncle Clifford. That was really sweet. Everybody needs that, especially when you're caretaking. You need somebody else that can kind of switch off with you, right? Sorry, they go to the kitchen and little Murda gave him a plate of what he ate, like he gave grandmother. He's like, ooh, this food is good. He's like, He's like, no wonder she didn't want my chicken and stuffing. And so little Murda asked Clifford about, what's going on down at the club with Haley. And he's like, that old Haley, Autumn, Murda, Robin, 50, Rihanna. He's like, I can't stand her. And she was like, She could get $5 million for the club. And Lil Murda was like, oh, that's 1.6, whatever the number was. And so then little bit Uncle Clifford said, oh, little calculator. So he was like, you think I'm crazy, you know, not take that money? He was like, nah, like, you know, there's more important things than money. You can make that at the club, you know, easy, I'm sure. He's like, you know, you already got everything you wanted. And Clifford was like, I thought you would choose money over love all the time. And he's like, I used to, but now I see there's things more important. And Clifford was like, well, I don't have everything I want. And so he kind of looks up at Lil Murda and it's like, oh. And so we see this love story developing, right? And so then Clifford was like, I'm sitting here talking about that little heifer, like, what's going on with you? How are you doing? And so, because we know Lil Murda came in after Teak killed himself the previous night. And so Lil Murda said he good. And Uncle Clifford said, oh, are you really good? Because I could hear you crying in your sleep all last night. And so Murda said he good. And Clifford was like, well, let me go, like, get you something to wear since it look like you're going to be staying here another night. Now, let's go over to, we're going to pause on Uncle Clifford, Lil Murda right now. We're going to go over to, what's the girl? Mercedes and Terica, because those were the two main storylines happening in this episode. And we got a little bit of Keyshawn, and we'll get to Keyshawn, okay? So anyway, they jumped to Mercedes and Terica in the beginning, but I'm just jumping to it now. So anyway, Mercedes and Terica. So we see Mercedes is on the phone with Shell and lets her know, hey, you know, Terica want to stay a few more days. Okay, you know, buy you some more time, give you some more days, get your stuff together. She's like, sure, I guess, but she already been there 2 days. And Mercedes is like, girl, it's been 3 days. And then she's like, don't be having her no, what she said, some floss or something. So she hung up on her, so Terica stayed. Like, Shell don't care. Like, girl, bye, Shell. Get your life together, girl. So anyway, then Mercedes goes into Terica's room, which is so funny how nice Terica's room looks, and she doesn't even really live there. But Mercedes, I think, always wanted her to. It's what I think. So anyway, Terica's in the mirror with her stomach. Now, this episode, I will say, they was like playing around with that baby bump too much. Like, first of all, how she got that much stomach and she just came with that pregnancy test. And then it was like some scenes her stomach was bigger than other scenes. It was just not making sense, P-Valley, but we get the point, and the episode was good despite that little funny part going on with the props. So anyway, and so she's like looking at her stomach in the mirror. So Mercedes like, so what you want to do? So like, when I seen that part, I'm already know Mercedes talking about this baby in her body. But Terica go say, well, you know, I already did this book report on the racist old Huck Finn, and I was thinking maybe we can get our nails did, or maybe I could paint my room now. Mercedes said, this ain't no HGTV project. Like, I'm talking about this baby. What you gonna do about this baby? Like, what's up? And so Terica was like, I don't know yet. And she was like, I do know I'm craving. She craves some kind of ice cream with cookies and hot sauce. And Mercedes like, oh, shoot, you are pregnant. Because, you know, women be craving stuff, right, when they pregnant. So then they was like, okay, let's go down to the TCBY. And so now this part also didn't make sense. They was driving to TCBY, but they had bags packed in the car. So I'm just like, unless Mercedes had packed their bag because she already knew what she was about to take her. I don't know. So anyway, I'm assuming Mercedes already had planned it, so she took their bags and got it together. So anyway, they was driving down to TCBY, but they passed it. So, you know, they're talking about the whole baby thing in the car, and so she's like, what's the little knucklehead boy you pregnant by, Kelvin or something? And he's an artist. And she showed Mercedes some drawing he did. And Mercedes said it was good. And she was saying something about, wait a minute, how far along are you? And the girl, Terica didn't even know how far along she is. And she was like, you're pregnant, oh no. Before they got to that, they was playing WAP. That's what happened when they flashed the scene back. Sorry, y'all. So they was playing WAP. And so the Terica in the car just singing the heck out that song. I'm like, oh, Lord. And so she talking about pull-out game week. And so Mercedes turned it off like, you don't need to talk about nobody's pull-out game in the condition you in. And then she I was hollering at that part. So anyway, like I said, Terica don't even know how far along she is. Mercedes like, you don't need to be even have sex if you don't even know, you don't even got a regular period. Because she's young. You know, when you're young teenager and your period just started, your period ain't quite regular yet. So that's a mess. Oh Lord, it's a mess. So anyway, so then, they driving. Terica notices that they passed the TCBY. And she's like, we're not going to get ice cream. She was like, no, we're going to Jackson. You're going to get a consultation. And so then Terica's like, pull the car over. And so, but she has to throw up. And then she was like, why are you taking me to get an abortion? And Mercedes was like, look, you need to make a decision. She's like, it's an option. We're just getting a consultation. Like, you need to figure out what you're doing. Like, this is real life. Like, and then she was like, Terica gonna say that Jaleesa told Taylor that Taylor's mama said that you can get cancer from getting an abortion. And Mercedes is like, girl, like, that is done. Like, they ain't got a brace up between the three of them. And which is true, like that, abortions don't cause cancer as far as we know, right? So Mercedes lets her know that for us, for Black women especially, whether you have an abortion or not, it could be like, and having a baby is life or death for us. Basically what she means is, it's what she said, life and death for us. And what she means is, yeah, we're going to give life, but there's a big chance that we can lose our life by having a baby. A lot of Black women have a lot of complications during their pregnancy, especially the older they are. And it's very scary. Beyonce and Serena Williams had their issues with giving birth. So she was putting her own game on that. Like, don't think like, oh, just because you had a baby, it's going to be all good too. Because there could be issues with you having a baby. So Terica's just kind of not trying to hear Mercedes. She's like, look, whatever you decide to do, like, come on, we got to figure this out. We're just going to go over there to the consultation. And so, and the little girl was kind of smarting off in the car saying, Kim was he's in love with me and he want to keep the baby, but she didn't tell him they was going down to the clinic. And so Mercedes was like, you don't know nothing about love. You're too young. Like, yeah, they be talking about it's Cortez said it was all love until I said I was pregnant. Then he didn't know, we wasn't going to be happy fairy tale. And so Terica's like, well, he can get a job. She was like, who going to hire a 14-year-old? She was like, oh, so-and-so got a job at Crystal's and he going to work part-time. And Mercedes, it's just, I could see Mercedes' frustration because it's like, when you're young like that, you think life really works like that. And it doesn't. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be peaches and cream. Oh, you can get a part-time job and everything's going to be okay. No, girl, it's not. So that's what Mercedes is trying to get her to see. And Terica is just so, wet behind the ears. It's so cute and sweet, but it's also scary. And so anyway, Terica mouthing off to her about her not knowing what real love is and all this stuff, and you just mad. So she slapped her. And then Terica was like, when I have my baby, I'm never going to slap her. And Mercedes said, I said the same thing. So anyway, then we see them get to the clinic. And there's all these abortion protesters outside of the clinic, which I found to be very interesting because of, the big Roe versus Wade thing we had happen this year. So I was like, wow, it's kind of like P-Valley was like foreshadowing. Like, that's kind of crazy that episode came out now. And they had that. So that's very, very telling, right? So this whole thing of like art imitating life and life imitating art, that whole thing. So anyway, everyone's out there protesting, and so they kind of looking scared, but they went in. She told her to go on in. She could see her, she had like a flash of her mom, Pastor Woodbine, and so she kind of had to like snap out of it. And before that scene, she had another flash of her mom that was very, very, very interesting and pissed me off, by the way. So when they're driving to the clinic and she stopped on the side of the road so Terica could use the bathroom, I think this was before they got to the abortion clinic. So anyway, they stopped at a diner and Mercedes is kind of flashing back, I guess, to her and her mom in that same diner or similar diner. So anyway, it's like back in the day, her and her mom are out to eat. This is when she was still Patricia before she became a pastor, looked like. So they didn't have food. She's like, where we staying tonight, Mama? That's what Mercedes asked her. She was like, oh, my friend so-so gonna let us sleep on their pool out. So it looked like Patrice didn't have her life together. Okay. And they was always on the move. And she was like, I'm keeping a roof over your head. So I was like, oh, Lord, what kind of mama was she? So anyway, then she gonna say, oh, I'm kind of short. And so already there's this guy kind of eyeing Mercedes. So she gonna look back and say, maybe you could do, that thing you do. And so Mercedes is kind of like, girl, no, like, I got it. So she pulled out her wallet and to pay. She's like, I got it, Mom. So already we see back then, Miss Patrice was pimping that Mercedes out. And I didn't like that. So then Mercedes pulled out the money and Patrice sees a condom in her wallet. So then she's like, what is that? And she's like, money. And so she's like, no, that right there, a condom. She's like, she's like, no, Mercedes was like, I've been getting the money from Cortez. Like, he been taking care of me. And so then she was like, what you been doing with Cortez? And she's like, no, it's just my boyfriend. And so next thing we know, Patrice gets to beating the crap out of Mercedes in the diner. I'm like, nobody's going to stop her. First of all, and then she got so mad at that, but you was just gonna have her do what to pay for this diner meal with that man. So that was like, whoa, we see that Pastor Patrice Woodbine was a hypocrite way back in the day, okay? And she's no good. I can't believe that. Like, how dare you? You're gonna pimp your daughter out, but then when you seen she had a condom, you got mad? And she had to pay for y'all meal because you couldn't afford to, because you hopping from cot to cot with her. A mess, Patrice, a mess. You need to go. So anyway, and then you a pastor now, I guess. We ain't gonna judge you for your past. So anyway, then, little girl gets back in the car. So back to the abortion clinic. So the abortion clinic, the nurses, I'm assuming it's the nurse or doctor, whoever, they're looking at the ultrasound of the baby. They made that baby look like she was going to be giving birth any day now. That baby was big on that ultrasound, okay? That baby was big on that ultrasound. So anyway, she let her know, she has 24 hours to think about it, but the window is closing. Like, this girl been pregnant a minute. So anyway, So Terica's like, oh, so you just gonna suck the baby out? And she's like, that's what you decide. And she's like, I'm not gonna get cancer, right? She's like, who said that? And so then, shout out to Portia, right? So then she was like, no, like, you could have bleeding, you could have blood clots, you could have this and that, but that same stuff can happen if you have the baby. So basically, they're letting her know that the same risk you take in getting an abortion is the same risk you take with having a baby, okay? So anyway, then we see Terica and Mercedes sitting at the pool, I guess at their hotel, wherever they're staying. And so they're like, kids are splashing in the pool, Mercedes getting mad. And so there's a mom kind of tussling with her kids, trying to get them settled and getting them from fighting and getting them together. And so Mercedes says, take a crystal ball, look at your future right there. So Terica said, oh, like, I'll just have grandmama watch him. And then Mercedes said, I told you ain't got to call her that, because she thinks she's talking about Mercedes' mom, Pastor Woodbine. And then she's like, no, I'm talking about you. She's like, what do you want to be called? Nana, grandma? Mercedes is like, I can't wrap my head around this, so I can't answer that right now. She's like, I don't want to be a grandma at 30. I don't blame you. I couldn't imagine if I was a grandma in my 30s. Like, no. No, I don't have no kids, okay? So I'm trying to even picture a kid right now. But anyway, so she's like, girl, like, don't you want to go to prom? Don't you want to go see the world? Don't you want to travel, go to Dubai, go to Paris, go to China? Terica was like, have you ever been to China? She was like, no. And then she was like, because Terica's like, where could I go? Like, I like that scene because Mercedes trying to open her mind and her world to know, like, you could get out of here and see the world instead of you want to be tied down with a baby. Not that babies aren't a blessing, but she's just too young. 14 is too young to have a baby. She's a kid herself. And she just, Mercedes want her to have the choice, like she was stressing this whole episode, right? So anyway, then we see her, Oh, I lost my train of thought, y'all. Okay, so Terica and Mercedes is talking at the pool, right? And so she's like, oh, Terica asked Mercedes, did you ever go to China? She's like, no. She's like, oh, why not? You didn't have no man to fly you out? I'm like, this girl. And she was like, actually, I did, but I didn't go because I was going to be too far away from you. So then, let's just wrap up the Terica and Mercedes stuff right now so I don't have to keep going back and forth in my mind. So then we see them back in the hotel room. And so Terica's trying to button up her pants as she can. She's like, can we go to Outlet Mall? Because, like, my good jeans are not buttoned up anymore. So they showed her stomach looking bigger. And so then Mercedes jumped up. She's like, here, you got to make a decision. Like, what you going to do? What's it going to be? Like, come on. And then Terica's like, she still don't know what she want to do. And she was like, this baby coming, you need to make a decision. Come on. Like, she really, like, getting on her. And so she was like, why you care? Like, you try to be a mom now and you weren't ever there for me. And Mercedes is like, you don't know everything I try to do for you. Like, Patrice and Shell and Judge wouldn't let me be there for you. Like, wouldn't let me raise you. And so Terica was like, well, what about this birthday party and that, and my roller skating birthday party and this event and that event that you didn't come to? Like, they didn't stop you then. And then, Mercedes couldn't really say much. And so she's like, well, that's all, I'm trying to get the gym open and do all this for you. And then she was like, Terica's basically like, well, you still, haven't even done that. Like, and so then they kind of like really get into it. And Terica runs into the bathroom. And then Mercedes just standing there looking in the mirror. And she sees, that old representation of her mom from the diner. And so, she's like, dang. Like, basically, she's seeing that she's being, like, just like her mom. And she don't want to be like her mom. Who want to be like Patrice? So, anyway, then she goes into the door. She apologizes to Terica. And she lets her know she's trying. And Terica's like, you didn't ever have to prove anything to me. You just wanted you to be there. So, finally, they kind of had that breakthrough moment that they needed. And she's like, I apologize. I just want you to have a choice like I didn't. Like, Patrice. So basically, Mercedes lets her know, like, Patrice didn't give me a choice. Like, Patrice made me have you. Like, but she's like, it was a blessing. Like, sometimes, she says sometimes God uses the devil to bless you. Now, I don't want to get into that, but I get what she's trying to say. So she was like, I'm glad I did end up having you. So Terica's like, oh, so you did think about aborting me? And Mercedes like, yeah, I did think about it, but ultimately I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I had you. And so, like I said, they like kind of get it together and make up. And so then the next morning they're leaving. Mercedes like, make sure you got all your stuff and your chargers. And so then Mercedes gives her the keys and says, which way you want to go? You want to go to Chucalissa or you want to go to Jackson? Which means Chucalissa, she going to have the baby. Jackson, she going to go and get that abortion. So she's like, choice is yours, whichever way you want to go. So she lets the girl drive. And so I thought the girl was just going back home to Chucalissa and have that baby. I really thought she was going to do that. But she went on to Jackson, okay? So then we see them back home in Chucalissa, and they're just kind of laying on the sofa watching some old TV show that Terica doesn't find funny, but Mercedes does. And so then Pastor Woodbine's commercial comes on, and so Terica wants to just change the channel, but Mercedes like, oh no, you ain't got to worry about it. Like, she's just knowing she only bothers us if we give her the power to, which is very true. And so Terica asked the girl, do you think I'm going to burn in hell? And so that also gave us the clue, right, that she got the abortion as well, if you didn't notice the Jackson sign. So anyway, Mercedes said, well, if you are, then I'm going to be burning right there with you. Let's get to Keyshawn and get this whole storyline out the way. So anyway, Keyshawn is in the grocery store, in the Dollar General or wherever they was, her and Derek and the kids. And Derek, you could tell, is trying to make it up to her after what he did to her, right? So he's like, oh, you want to get some moon pies? Oh, how about we get some Doritos? How about we get this? How about we go to the outlets in Jackson and get the little Prada boots like you wanted to get the baby? And she was like, no, it's okay. She's just going to go out of them. So she sees down the aisle Haley kind of hiding people around the corner. So she tells Derek, like, I got to get some makeup for this because, he done messed up her face a little bit. she got like a bump on her lip and stuff, busted her lip all up. And so she was like, I gotta get some makeup for this. And he's like, okay, we'll meet you at the checkout. So then she goes to talk to Haley, and Haley was like, I see you didn't use that gun of mine. So that was Haley's gun. Remember, that same gun she pointed at Diamond. So anyway, she was like, I know, I tried, but I couldn't do it. And then she was like, girl. And so, Haley kind of was like trying to give her a little advice at that moment, but she was like, I gotta go. And so you can tell Haley wants to try to rescue her. So anyway, then at the very end, one of the last scenes we see is Autumn goes over to their house to visit. And so Derek answers the door. Like, we see Keyshawn playing with the baby in the room. Their little baby is so cute, by the way, the little baby girl. What's her name? Regal, I think it is. So anyway, and so and Haley comes to the door, or Autumn, whatever the hell she want to be called. And so Derek's like, do I know you? She's like, no. And then Keyshawn came to the door. She's like, I'm a friend of Keyshawn's. And she's like, oh yeah, that's my friend. Remember, we used to work at the club together. So Derek, I guess, let her come in. I was like, damn, can nobody visit? So she was in the room with Keyshawn, and she's like, I got a gift for the baby from Jackson. I was in the outlet shopping. I couldn't resist. So she bought in. She was in the room with Keyshawn and the baby and all that. And Keyshawn said the baby wasn't sleeping well at night. So Autumn asked to hold the baby. So then she begins to tell her a story. And so Keyshawn was looking like a deer in the headlights the whole time. But basically, Haley's story was about herself. She says a girl named Haley in the woods. She wanted like family. She was blessed with a baby. And then she had a man. She had all this money, but the man turned out to be evil, like a Derek. And she said she lost the baby before it was too late. Okay, so basically Haley didn't get out of her situation, and it was too late. The baby died. And so, as we remember, some of the things that happened with Haley in the first season. So that fairy tale was a way to put Keyshawn up on game. She was like, so this is what Keyshawn said. Like, Autumn, what are you saying? I was like, girl, I mean, Keyshawn need a fairy tale, a fable, a spoken word, a riddle, a joke, or something for her to get it. Like, she still don't get it. Everybody got to speak to her in riddles and codes, and she still don't get it. So she was like, so she took out a phone out that gift bag, and she said, look up Haley, whatever her last name was, and said, and you call me when you're ready to learn how to swim. So basically, Haley trying to tell her, you need to help me get out, or you're going to lose your kids just the way I lost my baby being in a domestic violence situation. So she's trying to help her get out, basically. Everybody trying to say Keyshawn but herself. It's sad. I hope Keyshawn get out of there. Anyway, let's get back to Uncle Clifford and Little Murda and Grandma. So anyway, okay, so Uncle Clifford was in his room. He went to go find Little Murda something to wear because he had to spend another night. So then Murda found his phone in the sofa, and Wordy, he got a bunch of messages popping all over his phone. So then Wordy calls him, and so Wordy said, like, dang, like, where you been? Like, your promoter's been blowing me up since the Megan Thee Stallion track dropped, or Tina Snow, I think they said in the show. So anyway, and so he's like, we're going to get you back on tour. All the tour dates that got canceled because of Rome, like, they want you back out there. So he's like, okay, we're going back on tour. And so he was like, dang, like, I guess neither of us, one of us had to fire Big Teak. He's like, well, who's going to be security? And he's like, well, I guess neither one of us had to fire Big Teak, huh? And so Wordy was like, yeah, like, it's unfortunate what happened that. No one's even I guess no one's ever even came to claim his body or do anything about it. And so it seemed like he said he's going to put him in somebody else's plot or grave or something. And then Lil Murda said something that I could not understand. I kept rewinding it. If y'all know what he said, drop it down in the comments. I was like, I need some closed caption on my TV or something. I couldn't understand what the hell he said. So anyway, then Lil Murda hearing some commotion, so he got on the phone and went to see what was happening. And Uncle Clifford was in there, like, kind of tossing his room up, trying to find Lil Murda some clothes. So then he didn't notice a little Murda at the door. So he's like, "What you doing up here?" And then so he was like, "Oh, I heard all the commotion. I thought you didn't feel like I had a heart attack or something." He's like, "No, I was trying to find your little skinny butt something to wear." So he's like, "Oh, so this is like the palace." And he was like, "Yeah, it's only those, whoever worthy comes in." And so little Murda said, "Well, I hope one day I'm worthy." And so Uncle Clifford was like, "Well, you up here, ain't you?" And so little Murda's just kind of looking around his room and looking at certain clothes, like, "Oh, when did you wear this? And this is from way back in the day," and all this stuff. And he's like, "So you always been like yourself, huh?" Because little Murda notices like a Gucci bag or something, and Uncle Clifford's like, "Oh yeah, I had that when I was 3 years old, and I carried my first little pocketbook, and I would carry it around, and my mom would beat anybody up with it who wanted to make fun of me or laugh about it." And then she said, "And you best believe they didn't buy me no more after that," which was very sad, the way he said that, the way she said that. So anyway, so then the murder, I guess, is kind of taken aback of how Uncle Clifford from that young age was always Uncle Clifford and out there the way she was, and didn't apologize for who she was. And so I guess he's very impressed by that. And so little Murda asked Uncle Clifford, "So like, what are you? Like, you've been like this whole time?" And so then he's like, "What do you mean?" Like, and he was like, "Trust me, like, I love me some me, like, nah." And so he was like, "What are you?" And he was like, "I know." Look, Uncle Cliff said, "I know who I am." She said, "Well, who are you?" And he said, "He's something that the world ain't gonna let him be." And so, because, Murda's more like in the closet with his stuff. So anyway, Uncle Clifford, little Murda said, first he notices the postcards. Let me go back. First he notices the postcards that he has been sending Uncle Clifford the whole time, because, Clifford kept them and put them on his mirror. So he's like, "Oh, you kept them, you put them up." And he was like, "Which was your favorite?" And Uncle Clifford was like, "You look beautiful in red." That was the one that was his favorite. And we remember that scene when he read that one, right? So anyway, little Murda said, "I know, that last day when I came over on the tour, you wouldn't let me in, and I know I hurt you, everything that happened at murder night." And Uncle Clifford said he doesn't get hurt. He gets disappointed though. And he's like, "I understand why you did what you did at murder night though." He was like, "You just wasn't ready to walk in the sun yet." And little Murda said, like, "Yeah, those guys I used to hang out with back in the day, and I could pass with them." And so Clifford's like, "Well, you know what? There's no passing with me. Like, basically, I am who I am, and you're gonna be who you are. Like, that's what it is." And so, Clifford, he's just not gonna apologize. She's just not gonna apologize for who she is. And I'm like, I know that's right. And she said sometimes get lonely. She loved her some Uncle Clifford, but sometimes, she lets her star shine bright, but it gets lonely sometimes being her as well. And I totally understand what she meant by that. So anyway, then they're just kind of talking, and then they hear a bunch of commotion. So then they run up to grandmother's room. Grandmother's gone. They look around the house. Grandmother's gone. Sounded like grandma took the car. Okay, so they run out the house. They in the woods. Back where Tika and little Murda was at in the car. And they see grandmother's robe, grandmother's slippers. Grandmother left a trail of her stuff to be found, okay? They found it in her bonnet on the ground. They didn't found all her stuff. Then they see her by the water. So grandmother's like, "Oh, I gotta get in the water. I gotta get in the water. It's time for me to go. I gotta go. I gotta get to the water." So they're like, "No, no, 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 no." And then she was like, "Okay, come on. I gotta go. Like, they're calling me. I gotta go. Beulah's calling me." And so then little Murda's like, "Who's Beulah?" And then Clifford's like, "That's my mom." And she's like, "Come on, grandmother." And she's like, she could tell she's just going through it. She's in that, like, that weird limbo of life. And, like, I know it. I've seen it. I know it. So anyway, she was like, "Well, if I can't get into the water, like, bring the water to me." So then little Murda, I think he took her bonnet and scooped it up some water in it and poured it on grandmother. I said, was grandmother trying to get baptized? Is that what she said? She got to get ready. She want to get baptized so she can go, make sure she going to the right place. Okay, so anyway, I took it as baptism symbolism, but let me know what y'all thought. Anyway, so grandmother, she started kind of cold and blue. Little Murda's like, fingers turn blue, like, we got to get her home. So they get her home. Ambulance is there. The ambulance is about to take her, and I guess the EMTs call him Clifford, sir. And Little Murda over there like, it's ma'am. I'm like, Little Murda is like, you can tell he's trying. He's trying to do something. It's like, okay, Little Murda. So anyway, then Little Murda's like, you gotta let her go, Uncle Clifford. And so, Loretta Devine, grandmother, she's still going through it. And he's like, they're gonna be okay. She's like, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. And I'm leaving. And so, Uncle Clifford's like, you gonna come back, grandma? You gonna be okay? And so they show the ambulance. I love the way they shot that scene because they're shot it moving away from Uncle Clifford and Little Murda standing on the street. Just going farther away from them. I personally don't think Granny's coming back to that house. I do not think Granny's coming back to that house at all. Yeah, that was very sad. Oh, I'm gonna hate it if Granny died. I'm gonna hate it if Miss Ernestine died. But yeah, I don't think she's coming back. If she's feeling like death is pulling her that much, I don't think she's coming back. But anyway, it's TV, so we'll, who knows? So, anyway, then we see Uncle Clifford got in the shower, and he's kind of crying in the shower. And then he comes back in his robe, and he hears the thong song playing. Because remember earlier, Uncle Clifford teased him because something Uncle Clifford said about Cisco. Oh, he called Lil Murda Cisco when Lil Murda's making fun of his old clothes. And Lil Murda's like, who? And then he was like, oh, I know who Cisco is. And so then that was like the joke. So then Lil Murda had thong song playing by Cisco, and he was like dressed up in some of Uncle Clifford's clothes. And so Uncle Clifford was like, what is you doing? And so then Lil Murda was like, show me how you do it. Show me how you do the Macarena. Show me how you do this dance. And he's doing all this stuff. And Uncle Clifford was like, I do not do that. I definitely do not do that. So then he's like, well, show me your moves. Show me what you do then. Show me what you got. So then Uncle Clifford started twerking it and doing his little dance and twirling all around the room. And, Lil Murda's hyping him up. I was like, oh, they was having so much fun. And then Uncle Clifford just like kind of died on the bed, and so did Lil Murda. And so then they were like laughing and joking and talking, oh, you thought I didn't know who Cisco was. And so then Uncle Clifford kind of gets emotional, and he tries to like turn away and hide his face. And then Lil Murda like pulls his face and wipes his tears. And they have a little intimate moment, and they start kissing. And then, one thing led to another. So they start having their little sex scene, which we knew was coming in this episode, right? They built us up for it. I was not surprised, like the Teak and Lil Murda one, okay? I was ready for this one. So anyway, Uncle Clifford, he want to have safe sex. So he brought out the condoms. And so then Lil Murda was like, oh, I want to feel you all inside of me. And Uncle Clifford was like, are you safe? Like negative tests safe? like negative results? And Lil Murda's like, yeah. And I'm like, that is not good enough. That is not good enough for me. But, teach your own. So anyway, so then they even show Uncle Clifford putting the lube on and everything. I was like, oh, we getting it all. So then, in this scene, Lil Murda was the bottom, basically. So I'm thinking Lil Murda usually is not a bottom. I don't know. So anyway, so they had a nice little romantic scene. They was getting it on. Lil Murda was taking it, and it was there, they just had it going on. So anyway, then, we see them finish and wake up in the morning. Oh, they woke up, next to each other, whatever. And so, Lil Murda says, Lil Murda thanks Uncle Clifford for letting him back in. And, Uncle Clifford said, I needed you, you needed me, and it's all good. And so then I thought Lil Murda said, I need to bust or I need to come or something like that. He said, and Uncle Clifford was like, not until you're ready. I didn't understand that part unless he meant like, was it like a metaphor for him coming all the way out? Like, I wasn't sure what that part was about, but y'all could drop it down in the comments. I had to keep rewinding it, like what's going on? But I thought he said I need to like come or I need to bust. Is that what he said, y'all? So anyway, and Clifford was like, shh, not until you ready, not until you ready. And that was pretty much it on that. But I was wondering, like, why y'all ain't at the hospital with Granny Ernestine? Y'all over here playing around in the bed. Nobody gonna go check our grandma down to the hospital? I mean, it was the bedtime, so maybe she couldn't have no visitors anyway. But still, like, I need to see Clifford down to the hospital next episode to see about Granny. Like, what is going on? Anyway, I think that was pretty much it for P-Valley. I think I pretty much covered everything. If I didn't, y'all let me know in the comments. Let me know what y'all thought of the episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.